A police commissioner has just accused a minister of shielding a criminal syndicate. The future of petrol stations may look nothing like the past. And a South African batsman just smashed records, then stopped just shy of rewriting cricket history. Plus a couple other stories to bring up on your next Zoom call. My friends, this is Daily Bagel, South Africa's daily news show designed for your morning. Let's get into it. And kicking us off with current affairs, a political grenade just went off as one of South Africa's top police commanders has accused the police minister of shielding a powerful criminal syndicate from prosecution. So the KZN commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi claims that the minister personally shut down a task team investigating political killings, just as it started to unmask links between murder suspects and high-ranking politicians, cops and prosecutors. Apparently over 120 case dockets were pulled from the team in March and have reportedly sat untouched ever since. Now the police commissioner also shared WhatsApp messages supposedly between one of the murder suspects and a close associate of the police minister, showing that they knew in advance that the task team was going to get shut down. The messages even suggested that they were helping to make it happen and were confident that the investigations would be stopped. So this task team had reportedly racked up more than 100 convictions and over 1,800 years in jail time before it was abruptly disbanded. I mean, the police commissioner has now laid a formal criminal complaint against the minister and warned that what they have uncovered could quite literally shake the country's entire justice system. And onto our quickfire mentions, Eskom says it has finally brought all 6 Medupi units online, with Unit 4 returning 8 months ahead of schedule. The plant now contributes 4,800 megawatts to the grid, a major win for energy stability. And the US is expected to impose 30% tariffs on South African exports this week after negotiations have stalled. Government is now scrambling to delay the move, which could hammer agriculture, manufacturing, and cost us AGOA benefits. And onto our finance section. BP South Africa is pouring money into a nationwide upgrade of its petrol stations, with 40 new sites being built and over 500 existing stations getting a makeover. Now you see, this revamp isn't just about shiny new service stops, it's about adapting to a future where fuel sales are shrinking and customer habits are changing. I mean, since 2019, national petrol sales have reportedly dropped by more than 7%, even as nearly 600 new stations have opened, meaning that there are now more outlets competing for a smaller pool of demand. So these new stations will include EV charging points, low carbon battery rentals, and expanded retail services. Think grab-and-go meals, fast Wi-Fi, coffee shops, heck, even gym pods and co-working spaces are on the table. You see, with electric cars taking longer to charge than a quick fuel top-up, stations are now being redesigned to turn waiting time into spending time. And it's not just BP who sees the shift. As we mentioned yesterday, Investec has invested over 4 billion rand into petrol stations, emphasizing the long-term value of the retail layer potential. And so what we're seeing here is a smart but necessary pivot from places that sell fuel to places that sell everything else. And next up, while some retailers are chasing cheaper imports, Mr. Price is doubling down on South African made goods and spending over 5 billion rand this year to do it. I mean, in the past 5 years, their local sourcing has jumped 53%, with more than 127 million units now procured from domestic suppliers. It's a move that the group says supports local jobs, sidesteps volatile supply chains, and offers customers better value. And it seems to be working. I mean, Mr. Price reported 39.4 billion rand in annual sales, up 7.8%, and a record 5.8 billion rand operating profit. And with 92% of its sales still coming from South Africa, the retailer is leaning into home advantage. So factory visibility, recycled packaging, and millions of products with sustainable features all form part of this pitch. But Mr. Price seems pretty set on proving that local manufacturing can be as much a PR win as it can be a profit strategy. And onto our quick fire mention, South Africa's citrus industry is bracing for this 31% US tariff kicking in this week. Farmers rush shipments ahead of the deadline, but longer term exports and jobs are on the line. And Woolworths has won its long-running VAT case against SARS. The court ruled that raising capital through a rights offer does not count as part of its core business, which is a pretty big win for holding companies. And onto our sports section. Vian Mulder has just pulled off one of the greatest innings in Test cricket history, and then declared before he could make it legendary. You see, the stand-in captain smashed an unbeaten 367 runs against Zimbabwe at a blistering strike rate of 110, breaking Umla's national record of 311 not out. It was the 5th highest score in Test history, just 33 runs short of Brian Lara's iconic 400 not out. And so that's where the debate begins. Should he have gone for it? With a couple days left to spare and the Zimbabwe attack in pieces, many thought that history was there for the taking. I mean, even just 9 more runs would have cracked the all-time top 3, but Mulder decided to call it at lunch, walking off with the record in reach, but with the game in control. And with the cricket world now arguing over what matters more, the match or the milestone. And onto our quickfire mention, sticking with the cricket theme, Australia retained the Frank Worrell Trophy after beating the West Indies by 133 runs in Grenada. Mitchell Starc took 3 and the Windies crumbled in 35 overs, chasing 277 on a rather spicy pitch. Wimbledon officials have blamed human error for a tech glitch that turned off the line calling system mid-match. A missed call nearly swung the game and players aren't exactly buying the apology. And to all the F1 fans, this one can't go without mentioning. Nico Hülkenberg finally shook off F1's longest running stat, landing his first ever podium after 239 races. The 37-year-old finished 3rd at Silverstone after starting in 19th. And before we go on to our wildcard section, here's today's Bagel Bite. We touched on Mr. Price earlier, so riddle me this. According to Mr. Price's latest financial results, what percentage of its retail sales still happens in cash? Is it A, 4%, B, 35%, or C, 89%? We'll give you the answer at the end of the show. And on to our wildcard section. South Africa's biggest mobile networks want to pull the plug on their 2G and 3G towers, but nearly 15 million devices still rely on them. That includes older phones, card machines, panic buttons, and even some medical gear. The catch here is that these towers use up spectrum, which is essentially invisible radio frequencies used to send data. And freeing that up would mean faster, more efficient 4G and 5G for everyone. So to put it simply, 2G was good for calls and SMSs, 3G brought basic internet and buffering YouTube, and 4G and 5G, that's what powers your streaming, video calls, and real-time apps. But for millions of South Africans, upgrading isn't just a preference, it's a cost issue. So in response, operators like MTN and Vodacom are now offering ultra cheap upgrade deals, from 99 Rand smartphones to flexible payment plans, to try and help users make the jump. Government had originally set a 2027 shutdown deadline, but recently dropped it. So now it's up to networks, and it all depends on how quickly South Africans can afford to upgrade. And as for that Bagel Bite, the answer is 89%. I couldn't believe it. According to Mr. Price's latest results, nearly 9 in 10 purchases are still made in cash, which is pretty wild given the rise in cards, credit, and QR codes. And my friends, that's it for today's show. You know, I've been thinking quite a lot about Nico Hülkenberg achieving his first F1 podium after being in the sport for 15 years. And if you just saw the sheer amount of celebrations and support that he got from the F1 community, it really speaks to the fact that it is extremely admirable for someone who rocks up day in and day out, continuing to give their best in an attempt to follow their dreams. And for you, whether your dream is learning guitar, starting a business, advancing your career, being a good mother, whatever it is for you, I encourage you to go into this Tuesday giving your best, and I promise to be here tomorrow to give mine. I'll catch you guys all then. Cheers.